Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So with Zaku Prime access, we got the Trumna and Quasis Prime, and today we're covering the Trumna Prime. I've got two very good builds, and we'll be discussing like the use cases of this weapon and comparisons to the Trumna Normal, because yeah, if you have a really good Riven, maybe the Trumna Normal might be more worth it for a while. So let's get right into it. But before we do, make sure to sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, discussion videos, news videos, all that kind of stuff in the right place for Warframe content. And yeah, I've been streaming a lot recently, so probably won't be streaming tonight. We'll definitely be back tomorrow with the weekly reset. Okay, so we got the Trumna Prime here. Let's go ahead and show the differences in stats between the Trumna Normal and Trumna Prime, because this thing is a full auto exploding rifle, which is kind of like it's like an incarnon before incarnons existed. It's got a special attack that requires 5 kills to get the special attack unlocked. But yeah, as far as the differences here, for the Trumna Prime, we have increased magazine size, quicker reload, and yeah, this thing has a 4-second reload, so we'll show how to get past that later. And also we have increased damage, increased crit damage, and increased status chance. Additionally, there is an alt fire on this thing, like I said earlier, and the only thing they buffed on there is going to be the base damage it looks like right here. But yeah, still very high stats. Now, as far as showing how this thing works, I have literally no buffs on right now, okay? This is not an incarnon weapon, so don't expect it to be the top tier weapon in all of Warframe, but it's probably one of the best non-incarnon weapons at least. So, with the current build, we've got Corrosive and Blast. It is going to be removing enemy armor, and if you have not played in a while, and you're like, why is this fool modded for blast procs? As you saw right there, the enemy explodes in damage with blast procs in Warframe 2024. So that was not in the game before. Blast procs used to reduce enemy accuracy. Now they will explode. Once you get 10 blast procs, they'll instantly detonate. Or if they die as well, they will also detonate whatever blast procs they had out in a 5-meter AoE. So here we are just shooting these guys. Now the only thing I do have buffing right now is some green shards on my Ash to give full armor strip from corrosive procs. Now that we've gotten 5 kills, we can use the Trumna alt fire to release a explosion that bounces up to 7 times and does some extremely high crit damage. So now that we've done that, we have stacks. We can kill these guys a lot faster going forward. So again, no buffs at all, guys. I don't have any arcanes on here that buff it on my frame. I don't have any companion. I don't even have Tenacious Bond equipped right now. So this thing is actually pretty decent when everything's said and done. Now if I throw some buffs on here, you're going to see how deadly this thing can be for a non-incarnon. So we're going to put Arcane Rage in our frame for increased damage on primary. I'm going to also equip a companion too. Let's equip the Panzer Vulpaphyla to get Viral Procs and to get Fire Rate. So you might have seen right there, the Fire Rate's not the best on this thing. So if you got Reinforced Bond, and your companion will increase the Fire Rate, and Tenacious Bond will increase the crit damage as long as the companion has high enough stats in their melee. So now we give it a shot. I'm going to throw on Nourish as well and Smoke Shadow. This is more of a realistic, and when I show some gameplay footage, this is kind of like what you can expect, because if you're running a weapon like this and you're maining it, you should be buffing it in some way. So now we're doing a lot better. You can pretty much kill them with like 2 bullets if we really get lucky with the crits and the headshots and stuff like that. And of course the alt fire will be a lot stronger with these buffs too. So you can see multi-million damage without any Riven, without any, goofy, weird stuff. Just things that everyone can achieve here. Now also with all these stacks, the exploding blast proc death is much, much stronger. So we can actually just launch that from afar, wipe out a big group of the enemies, and it's quite easy to get the stacks again after that because we've already stacked it all up. So that's the one build I'm going to show you. So this is one for like general missions. I've got a Zephyr loadout here too, because this thing is actually really funny with Zephyr. It always has been, and people thought they patched it out. Actually, no, it's better than ever with Zephyr right now. So as far as the main build I'd recommend for everyday players, here is a Corrosive Blast build in the Trumna, and yet it has built-in fire damage already. So when you put on a cold mod, you'll have Blast, and then we put on Corrosive, we've got Corrosive and Blast. A old combination of statuses in Warframe is actually better than ever in Warframe 2024. So as far as our Blast and Corrosive weighting, since this thing has so much built-in fire damage, it's hard to make the Blast lower than the Corrosive, because we prefer Corrosive over Blast here. Additionally, since this thing is an exploding rifle, it has damage on the direct hit and damage on the explosion, which can make even more procs. So, yeah. As far as the build, now I have Prime Shred here. You might notice that it says there's like a lock, like a padlock on the punch through. It says that you cannot get punched through on the primary shot. That is a lie. It's actually a glitch with a bunch of weapons in Warframe right now, where it says they cannot get punched through, but they actually can. So if I show you right now in the sim, I can literally shoot through multiple enemies with punch through, no issues at all. So right there, you'll see a damage number on her. As you can see, she is blast proc from my punch through bullet. So Punch Through definitely does work. It just says it doesn't work right now for some reason. But yeah, for the main build, I'm going to show you some gameplay now. Now, I wouldn't recommend this as your main DPS weapon in Disruption, but it's very good for Ad Clear and Eximus Clear, and also Acolyte Clear in Disruption. That's a clip for later, but in Disruption, this is about level, I think, like level 350 or level 400 here. And yeah, it can take care of trash ads and stuff like that really well. But keep in mind, in this footage, I actually had a Corrosive Heat build, which was not as good. The Corrosive Blast build, I think, would have been better here. But I can still get the job done against relatively high-level Eximus, if you consider this high level. Level 363. You know, there's the Alt Fire destroying like an entire like hallway, it looks like, down there. So, pretty nasty stuff. But you will notice here that as far as damaging a Demolist, first off, the explosion shot has a pretty far bounce to it, so be aware that it's not the easiest thing to hit on a Demolist. You're trying to do trick shots. If you want a Demolist killing up, the Colossus is definitely much better from this access. Just keep that in mind. I'll have a Colossus video out probably on Monday. Yeah, Trumna is very good for Acolytes, though. This thing has so much crit and so much base damage that Acolytes get shredded by it. Because, not even shredded, they get one-tapped by it when they spawn in. So be aware of that. This thing is very good for Acolytes. But it's a little bit clunky feeling. It actually has it feels like a really slow swap speed, which I don't think swap speed per weapon is really a thing in Warframe. But yeah, it does feel like there is a swap speed difference on the Trumna versus a quicker weapon like a Paris or something. That's just speculation from me, but it does feel like it just takes longer to swap. And it is a very large, clunky weapon, too. So if you want to do a build like this, again, like I said, the Corrosive Blast build would have been better here, but the build I use in that footage is the Corrosive Heat build. And again, it is on Zombie Ash. So I can link Zombie Ash in the description. But yeah, the purpose of this one is going to be Corrosive, and then we use Nourish for Viral procs. We've got Corrosive, Viral, and the built-in heat of the Trumna. Now, with this low of heat on the weapon, it's not going to be proccing heat that often, but keep in mind, heat procs do remove enemy armor, so if you're not running green shards like me, you can do Corrosive procs and heat procs, enemies that have basically no armor left. But yeah, overall, Corrosive Blast probably a little bit better, in my opinion, because of the explosions, getting a 5-meter AoE on kill, which is pretty nice, as we're also using a big Explosion Blast that could do a lot of blast procs too. Okay, so speaking of AoE, you might have seen I accidentally put a clip on screen earlier of this weapon with Zephyr. Yes, just like back in the day, Zephyr can basically infinitely spam the Trumna alt fire shot with her tornadoes. It's a little bit trickier compared to back in the day, but yeah, basically the way it works is Zephyr's tornadoes can take the stats of or they can actually use the stats of your gun and actually distribute that damage throughout the tornadoes. And with a ridiculous crit explosion like this, it makes the tornadoes really, really deadly. And you don't even need to use the alt fire. You could actually use the primary shot and build the alt fire shot off of shooting Zephyr's tornadoes, which is very, very deadly. Now, how do you build the alt fire off of Zephyr's tornadoes, like infinitely, basically? Well, it's going to involve you having to do trick shots, pretty much. This used to work where you could directly shoot the tornadoes with the Trumna and it would instantly build them up, but now you have to actually bounce the shot off a wall to get the stacks to stack back up. There's other ways to do it too. I think like Zatav's Whisper might have something to do with it. But yeah, basically guys, just as long as you're not shooting directly at the tornadoes with your Trumna, it should recharge. As long as you're getting enough kills, that is too. Remember, it's still going to require 5 kills to get your alt fire back. But yeah, with a build like this on Zephyr, which I'll show you, you can take out the entire room over and over and over again, and not to mention the Acolyte will get easily one shot. Like the most easy Acolyte one shot you've ever seen. They'll actually sometimes spawn in the middle of the tornadoes too, which is really funny, and they'll get so one tapped. Okay, so going over the Zephyr loadout here. Keep in mind, I don't have it min-max for full damage. It's just like my normal Zephyr build with the Trumna, which is all you really need. But here we are in the sim. I'm going to go ahead and show you how deadly this combination can be. And yeah, it always has been deadly, but I think DE tried to patch it out where you're not supposed to be able to infinitely charge the Trumna off the tornadoes, but it still works, so I don't know. So as far as the Riven, you don't even need a Riven for this thing, but if you do, you could actually get a Riven to replace the cold mod on the Corrosive Blast build. Like this right here. If I can fit that on there, actually I can technically if I do this, right? Okay, take that off. So, if you have a cold mod on the Corrosive Blast build, you can actually improve your blast wing. So now we're at Corrosive Blast, and the waiting for blast is lower than the Corrosive, because I have a low amount of cold on here. You technically could do that, because we don't need that many blast procs. I'd prefer Corrosive, personally. We only need like 1 or 2 blast procs, if that. So yeah, that's something you could run. But like the damage multi-shot crit Rivens for the Trumna have really low stats. You can see like 0.5 dispo. So we can compare those two later if I remember to. But yeah, on this build right here, it's going to be focused entirely on AoE. Prime Firestorm improves the AoE radius of the explosion shot from 6 meters to 8.64 meters. And then remember too, we got blast procs in this build, so it's a 5-meter explosion after they die. So it's like a total like 13 meters explosion with the blast procs and all that. But it's an entirely blast focused build. And by the way, this normal build worked totally fine on this Zephyr build too. But I want to try something new. But something you should keep in mind is that do not run Deadhead on this one, because the Trumna, first off, the Trumna has bad recoil control, but on this thing, you're not getting Deadhead stacks off of your tornadoes. You're getting Merciless stacks of tornadoes instead. So that's the Trumna, which is basically got on blast. You could do any element, really guys, you could do any element of Zephyr. It's not going to matter that much. And we've got Arcane Acceleration. Since we're not running Fire Rate on this build, we're getting Fire Rate from our Arcane on our frame, and we got Multi-Efficiency for more duration because Zephyr likes duration. All right, so showing how this works. Let's go ahead and summon in some enemies to start off. I've actually got I think it's called Sudika Kubrau to give me some more energy orbs too. So we're gonna start with getting some stacks from some butchers. Now it's gonna be a little bit harder to show you guys the infinite Zephyr thing in a sim. Just a heads up. That's why I put that footage in there. But yeah, basically you just go airborne with Zephyr. While Zephyr's airborne, she has more crit. Get your initial first couple of kills. And there's that blast proc kill and everything. Now we're pretty much in business. So we just make the enemies harder to kill, basically make them Exo Gog stance, and we make sure our tornadoes are down. Now, if they're not in your tornadoes, you can actually use Ensnare to pull them across the route into your tornadoes. And so if we want to get infinite Trumna right now, we would have to like literally bounce it off the wall or whatever, which is not going to be the easiest in here. So I'm gonna do a direct hit just to show you how the damage does work though. So we shoot it at them, you know, multi-million blast proc. You might also notice that we got no stacks back. So in a room like this, what you'd want to do to get infinite Trumna is, well, first, you probably just want to do it legit. Just shoot the tornadoes. You can stack it up very easily like that. But if you didn't want to, you just want to do infinite alt fire, you probably want to, like, you know, I guess shoot the Trumna into the ceiling and hope for the best. Let's hope that those bounce right back down onto the tornadoes here. Okay, they bounced way too high. So unfortunately, yeah, a little bit too high on the bounce there. But yeah, in mission, a lot easier to achieve, I'd say. Where do those grenades even go? So yeah, either way, guys, you do need to do a trick shot, because if you directly hit it, as you saw right there, no stacks allowed. So that is a big thing there. Also, additionally, you know, there's other ways you can mod this thing too. I've seen people try to suggest to me a viral build. I wouldn't recommend that. If you really want to min-max it, I say go for corrosive, and then go with Nourish as your backup, like your backup thing to like buff you up, and you can get viral and corrosive. So really good stuff. Now, of course, this blast only build is more of a meme. You could totally use the corrosive blast build on Zephyr, but just make sure you put on Merciless over Deadhead. And as far as the Exilus slot and like what Rivens would be good, I think as far as the Exilus slot's concerned, if you're not running Deadhead, you should run Stabilizer because this thing has bad recoil. If you are running Deadhead, you can run Vigilance Supplies unranked or ranked up to increase your crit tier from like yellow crit to orange crit. This thing is not the most crit chance. So we've got 72% with critical delay on the on this build, and then it's got 114% crit chance on the alt fire shot. So it's got really good status though. So keep that in mind that it's not the highest crit chance weapon in the game if you're used to like incarnons and stuff. But yeah, comparing this exact build to the Trumna with the exact same build, it is gonna be technically better. If you're not including a Riven, the Trumna Prime is better. But here's a Trumna Normal with no Riven. And the Riven stats are higher on the Trumna Normal too, but not that much higher. We're at 2 dot dispo, where the Trumna Prime had 1 dot dispo. All right, so let's go ahead and show the normal Trumna. And just basically, it's the exact same thing, pretty much. It's with the long and short of it. So we just go ahead and get some stacks here. Yeah, the Arcane Acceleration really improves the fire rate. Come on. All right, we eventually got the stacks. It's a little bit rough before having stacks, I gotta say. As someone that's a lot of us are spoiled by incarnons. It's kind of hard to deal with these kinds of not incarnon weapons, and I think a lot of people might experience that with this new thing too. So, yeah, basically, it's a fun weapon, not an amazing weapon. So, if you want to get past the annoying reload speed, here's one thing you can do as well. I'm probably gonna call it here pretty soon, but yeah, basically, if you have the synth mods on your other weapons, so I got synth charge on my compressor, it will auto-reload weapons while holstered. So what I can just do, and not have to do this 4-second really long reload time, look how long that is, I can fire the gun, and then swap. So as I swap back, I've already reloaded. So that's what something you could do to not have to ever reload this thing. Have a weapon like the compressor or like whatever with synth charge or whatever synth mod on there. You fire your gun, you kill some enemies. When you're getting low on magazine, you swap over for like 2 or 3 seconds. Now your weapon is reloaded all the way. So I'd recommend that heavily. And as far as overall recommendations, guys, yeah, the Corrosive Blast build is my favorite. The Corrosive Heat build is usable, but definitely lower on the damage of the heat procs. The Blast only build is funny with Zephyr, but keep in mind, Prime Firestorm does not increase the size of Blast procs, just increases the size of the actual Trumna Blast themselves. So, overall, is it worth getting? Is it good? All that kind of stuff. Yeah, it is worth getting, and it's good. But also, if you already have, top tier incarnons in Warframe, it's not going to replace your incarnon. It's not that it ever was it was ever in consideration for that in the first place. So if you are incarnon or nothing, like you must use only the most meta of meta, it's a good prime weapon. It's not a incarnon level weapon. It is really fun, and I might use it more going forward. But yeah, you could just literally go buy this in the market like easily for a reason. Whereas Steel Path and Carnage, you gotta grind them out. They're just different power levels on purpose. But this thing is pretty close. So it's definitely one of the best primaries in all of Warframe, especially if you throw on buffs like Arcane Rage, some green shards to fully strip armor, Nourish for viral procs, all that kind of stuff. It is very good, just like most things are with those combinations. So, hope you guys found this one fun, helpful. I'll have a Quasis video out soon, and we'll have the weekly reset tomorrow. So I appreciate all the support, and I will see you next time, guys. Peace!